My name is Greg Bogosian, and I love everything about New England. Each week, I travel the region searching for adventure. And along the way, I visit the places and the people that make New England extraordinary. This is New England like you've never seen it before. This is New England Traveler. New England is made up of dozens of beautiful coastal communities. I begin today's adventure exploring one of them. Settled in 1635, Newburyport, Massachusetts is located on the southern bank of the Merrimack River where it empties into the Atlantic Ocean. Originally inhabited by the Pawtucket Native Americans, Newburyport was once a center for privateering during the Revolutionary War and the War of 1812. Beginning about 1832, it added numerous ships to the whaling fleet. Later, clipper ships were built there, but today there is little remaining that hints of its former maritime importance. I came to this riverfront city to explore its maritime history, and I'm starting right here. I am here in beautiful downtown Newburyport, Massachusetts, right on the Merrimack River, and my first stop is the Custom House Maritime Museum. So Lloyd, tell me about the history of this awesome space we're in.
If you were a ship captain and brought your ship into the harbor, they would have the crew go out, look at your ship, see what goods you have on the ship, and tell you you owe X amount of dollars, and they would come in and pay it. And this was the office of the collector. The United States Coast Guard was originally the United States Revenue Service, and they were under the Treasury Department. And then in 1915, President Wilson changed their name to the United States Coast Guard. Thus, this is the birthplace of the Coast Guard.
Established in 1790, when President George Washington signed the Tariff Act, the Coast Guard served as the nation's only armed force on the sea until Congress launched the Navy Department 8 years later.
We change, every year or so we change exhibits in our room, and this is mainly the Coast Guard room. We try and leave this because we're very friendly to the Coast Guard, and this is a very important station.
The Coast Guard has protected the United States throughout its long history and served proudly in every one of the nation's conflicts. So Lloyd, tell me, what is the actual mission of the Custom House Maritime Museum?
Our mission is to preserve the history of maritime service in the lower Merrimack Valley.
In 2012, Newburyport, Mass. Became an official Coast Guard city in recognition as its official birthplace.
Newburyport was very important because all the trade they would bring out and ship out would come as far up as Lawrence, Lowell, Methuen, Haverhill, and they would bring the trade down.
Newburyport, from what I understand in my research, was a wealthy town, and then it wasn't so wealthy.
It was a very wealthy town in the 16, 17, 1800s, and then for some reason it sort of decayed. And then in the early 1970s, it was really a rundown town. And then they got a mayor in who said, urban renewal, we're not ripping buildings down, we're gonna restore the town. At one time, they wanted to rip the museum down. He said, no, we're gonna keep the museum. We're gonna keep these buildings and restore the town. Goods were stored here. If you had goods, they had to be locked up. We actually had a brig downstairs. You could put prisoners or lock up expensive goods.
Is it still there?
No, it's a storage room now.
Okay, all right. And how close is the building that we're standing in right now today to the original Custom House?
Right here.
That's it.
This has never changed.
For a visitor coming to the Custom House Maritime Museum today, walk me through the exhibits that they'll experience.
What we'd start you is at the custom agent's office and explain why it's here, why the building is here, what it looks like. And the second thing we'd bring you and start showing you exhibits. We'd take you into the Brown Gallery or the Life-Saving Gallery and show you all the life-saving that went on in Newburyport. Newburyport is declared a surf harbor by the United States government, which means we have 6 to 10 foot waves at the mouth of our harbor each 45 days of the year. Then we'd probably take you into the Coast Guard room and explain why we have the Coast Guard room, what the Coast Guard history was, how it evolved into what it is today. And upstairs we have several other exhibits, and one of the great things we show you upstairs, we have a vaulted ceiling and exactly how that looks. And the masons in Newburyport at the time had no idea how to build one. Mr. Mills came here, showed them how to build a vaulted ceiling. So this building is completely fireproofed. I just think it's a great place to visit, and it'll be a wonderful place to bring your children and for adults too.
One second, I've never had this shot. There we go, the POV of me to you. There we go, ready? Newburyport is known for its historic architecture, its maritime history, and in fact, it was the birthplace of the United States Coast Guard. But one thing Newburyport is also known for is its seafood, and you don't get better seafood than right here at Sea Level.
My name's Kayla. I'm a bartender here at Sea Level Newburyport. Today I'll be making one of our most popular signature cocktails called the Parker Riverita. It's named after Parker River, which is right in Newburyport. So first, I rim the glass with a chili salt rim, and then fill it with ice. And then I use our house-infused jalapeno tequila, and then a little bit of lime juice, a little bit of simple, splash of orange juice. Give it a good shake. And then for the final step, top it with dry curacao, and then give it a lime. It's all good to go.
Okay, the Parker Riverita, named after a local river here in Newburyport, the Parker River. This drink looks fantastic. Cheers. I know what you're thinking. With the chili powder on the rim and the jalapeno in the drink, that it's really spicy. There is some spice to it, but it's not gonna knock you out. Nothing wrong with that drink right there. Parker Riverita, Sea Level Newburyport. Come down here and order one. I did. Today, I'm at Sea Level in Newburyport trying their chowder fries. What are chowder fries, you say? They are French fries topped with fresh chowder, little neck clams, and cheddar jack cheese. Incidentally, my 4 favorite food groups. How can you possibly go wrong? This doesn't even look like a finger food. This is definitely a fork and knife situation, so let's dig in. No pun intended to the clam. I'll take a bite of that. The saltiness of the chowder on top of the French fries is something. You need a clam in there somewhere, right? I mean, am I wrong? This is total summertime right here. The chowder fries are amazing. Whether or not you love seafood, you need to come down to Sea Level Newburyport and try any of their amazing dishes and enjoy yourself.
The Sparkling Cosmo is a very popular drink here at Sea Level, and today I'll be making one for Greg. So first I take New Amsterdam lemon vodka, and then I take a little bit of triple sec, splash of pomegranate liquor, and then grab my lime juice, a little splash, give it a shake. Get into our martini glass here, and then to finish it, top it with Prosecco. And then we have the Sparkling Cosmo right here for you. And that's it.
Okay, full disclosure, I like Cosmos. Fuller disclosure, I really like Prosecco. And I'm about to try this because it looks beautiful. Let's just see how it's gonna taste. That is one good Cosmo. And if you enjoy Prosecco, which I personally do, then the Sparkling Cosmo may be for you. The word sea in Sea Level should not scare you away, even if you are not a fan of seafood, because they have amazing dishes like the All-American Burger that don't have anything to do with seafood. The All-American Burger is a beautiful burger. I like it cooked medium, topped with lettuce, tomato, red onion, of course, Sea Level sauce with beautiful, crisp fried pickles and American cheese. The All-American Burger is what I'm about to enjoy for your pleasure. Actually, for my pleasure, but you can enjoy one yourself if you come down to Sea Level. Here we go. Okay, I don't even know how I took a bite out of this thing. It is so big, but the All-American Burger is amazing. This should change the name. The Amazing All-American Burger. In my opinion, you can't have an All-American Burger without washing it down with an All-American beer, like this beautiful Newburyport Lager. That's a good beer too. Sea Level offers amazing craft cocktails and an inspired menu in a casual atmosphere with stunning views of the Merrimack riverfront. But if your taste buds are asking, where's the beef? Then look no further than my next stop. Here at Pomodori in Newburyport, they tell me they make the best roast beef sandwiches. Well, we could take their word for it, but that would make for a very short show. So let's go inside and find out if that's true. Peter Nikolakopoulos invited me here today to learn what separates Pomodori from the rest. This place is amazing, it's huge. You're obviously packed with people and serve amazing food. So, Peter, tell me what I'm going to be eating today, because this looks like the most delicious roast beef sandwich I think I've ever seen. So what's going on here?
So right now we have the traditional super roast beef on and onion roll. You have to have it 3-way, which is 3-way is the American cheese, the James River barbecue sauce that you see here, and the extra heavy mayonnaise. So it's not more for dietary purposes, and you definitely need a lot of napkins when you're eating it, as you'll see in a little bit.
I can see right now.
And the traditional, and once you pick it up, you can't put it back down. So you kind of can maneuver it and kind of have a little bit of.
I got to fight with it for crying out loud. Look at that. It's a massive. All right, Peter, you know what I think it is? I think it's time to eat.
I think it's time to go.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to leave you alone and let you kind of get into it on your own. That way, when I see the sauce drooling all over you, that it's okay.
Oh, yeah. That's not going to be a pretty sight. It is time for the moment of truth. I practically grew up on roast beef sandwiches. This has to be probably the best roast beef sandwich I've ever eaten. All right, folks, that's a wrap from Pomodori in Newburyport. You need to get yourself down here and order one of these beautiful roast beef sandwiches. So how often do you do this, Jay?
Well, I don't serve as much food as I used to, but I used to do it nearly every day.
Oh my gosh.
Newburyport is a well-known foodie destination. But if you're looking for one of the most unique dining experiences in the world, then look no further than Newburyport's own Rear-Range Light.
Rear-Range Light sits right here on the Merrimack River in Newburyport, Massachusetts, and it's where I'm going now to explore this iconic symbol of New England maritime history.
Jay Hyland is the president and founder of the Lighthouse Preservation Society. I met up with Jay at Rear-Range Light for a tour of one of the most iconic landmarks on the Merrimack River.
It's a nice staircase for a lighthouse tower. The traditional spiral staircase were very difficult because if you fell, it's hard to stop your fall.
Right.
These are squared.
Wow, this is really cool. Hey, Jay.
Hey, Greg. Best view in town.
This is the best view in New England right here, I think. There is one place in the world where you can dine at the top of the Lighthouse Tower, and it is right here in New England. Only place in the world you can dine at the top. How cool is that?
Our keeper's logs are kind of ongoing journals of all the people who have dined up here.
Oh, wow.
And we have a lot of special occasions.
Okay, would you like me to read you one? Because I think this is a pretty special one. Sarah writes, "Perfect night. Jason surprised me with dinner at this wonderful place with wonderful food and service. Then I was surprised yet again when he got down on one knee and proposed. Couldn't have asked for a better night. Sarah and Jason." Well, Sarah and Jason, I hope you're watching. It's pretty special. That's nice. Jay, tell me about the mission of the Lighthouse Preservation Society.
The Lighthouse Preservation Society was formed to preserve our nation's lighthouses. We also, document the lighthouses and the history of their keepers and such. Of about 1,200 lighthouses that once dotted America's shoreline, there's only about 800 that are still standing.
Wow, so 25% are gone.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the history of this specific light.
Yeah, range light's a little bit different. So there'd be two towers, there'd be twins. They always operated in tandem. There'd be a short tower and a tall tower, and the idea was to line them up as you came into the harbor so the one was directly over the other. And when you had that configuration, then you knew you were into safe harbor. Lighthouses have a very rich history and very long history that goes back to the dawn of civilization. Some of the very earliest lighthouses are written about in the Iliad, for instance, by Homer. The Romans built lighthouses. The Egyptians built a lighthouse in Alexandria, which was one of the seven wonders of the world. In fact, two of the seven wonders of the world were actually lighthouses. Colossus of Rhodes was a huge statue that held kind of a large dish in his hand, and he basically straddled the entrance to the harbor. In that big dish, they burned wood or oil, and that was a huge torch, basically, kind of like the Statue of Liberty, if you will, that would draw ships, into that harbor.
The lighthouse is symbolic of New England. You could say that New England is lighthouse country. There are, in fact, more lighthouses in New England than any other place in the U.S. About 25% of these lighted beacons are found right here.
And in the old days, there was so much commerce going on in New England and the Northeast. Most things went by water. The first great act of Congress, it was the first Public Works Act, was the construction signed by George Washington of lighthouses in this country in 1789. So it was really a high priority for our founding fathers to make sure that we had safe waters so that commerce and immigration could occur here along our coastline. It was a huge undertaking by our forefathers, so that the idea is to never be out of sight of a lighthouse. So that's about every 20 miles or so that you would know where you were. And each lighthouse had its own address, if you will. They flashed differently. They had a coded flash signal. Even the foghorns were coded, in terms of the length of the sound that they made. And then each lighthouse looked different. They were painted differently. They were built out of different materials, so that you wanted to make sure, if you saw this particular lighthouse, that you weren't going to confuse it with another one down the way.
Right.
So they had to be unique, and they really are. They're kind of like people in a way. They're all different.
And what makes Rear Range Light most unique is the fact that it is the only lighthouse in the world where you can dine at the top.
And we created this as a pilot project to show what could be done with an abandoned lighthouse tower. And so this was something that we wanted to do to preserve this lighthouse, but also to allow people to enjoy the experience of being in a lighthouse. And something that I'm always happy to see these lighthouses rescued and preserved for future generations.
One of the most beautiful places, I think, in New England, and I think obviously, yeah, the family they get to come here to work every day. I mean, how can you pass that up, really?
I had so much fun hanging out at the top of Rear Range Light with Jay Highland and learning all about the history of this Newburyport beacon. When the weather turned a little more favorable, I made the trip about a half-hour southeast to another riverfront landmark, Woodman's of Essex. Steve Woodman and his multi-generational family have put Essex on the map as the go-to spot for the classic New England seafood experience.
Okay, Steve, I came to Woodman's because I love historic places in New England. Not to mention I love seafood, and you guys certainly have some of the best seafood in New England. Do you have a story that you've never told anyone else?
Yeah, my grandfather actually taught Howard Johnson's how to fry clam.
Howard Johnson's, like the Howard Johnson's ice cream, Howard
That's
Johnson's
right.
restaurants?
So he actually came in for a full weekend and fried clams with my grandfather,
Here?
right here, right on this location, and learned how to fry clams. Wow. Sometime during the summer of 1928, he came down.
I want to hear about the history of the fried clam, the invention of it.
Well, it was back in 1914 that my grandfather was tried to make some extra money. A friend of his had a place that he said, you can set up your shop right here on the causeway. So he brought in a fryolator and started making homemade potato chips. And so people were standing around one time. They said, hey, Chubby, if you take some of those clams that you're trying to sell and you batter them up and throw them in that fryolator, he says, I think people will like them. And so my grandfather, grandmother Bessie got together that night, figured out how to do it. They fried them, put a sign out the next day. It was July 3rd. There was 4th of July celebration in town, and said, we have Essex fried clams. And they came in, people bought them, they liked them. That was the first day of the fried clam, July 3rd, 1916. He was a smart man, decided to keep them on the menus.
What's going on today at Woodman's in the present?
Being able to see this business, continue in the same family. Hopefully we'll be here another 108. Also, Greg, one other thing that we're really proud of is we also have 5th, 6th generations of customers coming back, where their parents or their grandparents brought them, and now they're bringing their kids and their grandkids and everything. That's another thing that we're really proud of and really appreciate is the customers that we have, the loyalty that they have. It's part of their heritage.
What do you recommend here? This is obviously the fried clams in front of me and the scallops. All these things are incredible to me. I've got to try this now. All right?
Dig in.
All right, so first, I'm just going to use my hands
clams,
here.
yeah.
All right, the fried clams here.
It's eating the rough. That's what it's all about.
Really enjoy that. That is amazing.
The process of making fried clams is a simple one. Fresh clams are dipped in evaporated milk, then coated with a combination of regular corn and pastry flour. The coated clams are then fried in a canola oil, soybean oil, or lard. Here in New England, the most commonly prepared is the whole soft-shell clam, known as whole bellies. But I want to learn the Woodman's process. So now it's time to roll up my sleeves, head into the kitchen, and fry up some clams.
Okay, Steve told me I could come in here and make some fried clams. I'm with Bobby Barrett, the best fried clam maker in the world. That's a fact, right?
Yes, it is a fact. It's on camera now. So.
Yeah, we can't lie on camera. It's on television. It's got to be true. I noticed that you not only have fried clams here, but you have the scallops and the shrimp and everything else like right here.
Anything anyone wants, we got it here.
Everything's self-contained. This is like a fried seafood lover's paradise right here. My gosh. So, all right. So, Bobby, take me through the process. It looks pretty simple to me, clams, then the batter. What's
simple.
up?
All right, so we're gonna take some of those clams right there in the strainer. You're gonna put them right into our evaporated milk. You're gonna shake off all that excess milk. it right into our corn flour.
With the fried clams and the corn flour, I was amazed to learn that it's just corn flour.
Just corn flour. Chubby knew
nothing
what
else.
he's doing.
Look at that. Ready to go. Right into the fryer later. Like that.
There you go.
All right. And the fried clam batter. There you go. Oh, beautiful. They're frying. And the best part is the corn flour fingers, right?
Oh, yes, yes.
I think that's a thing I just invented, corn flour fingers.
I don't think he's dirty enough. Hold on.
Oh, man. Man.
Welcome to the club.
My final thoughts on Woodman's of Essex are just about as simple as the fried clam recipe itself. The seafood is amazing. The location, right on the beautiful Essex River, is as scenic as New England gets. And the Woodman family and their staff, well, they've been working hard since 1914 to make sure that your next meal is your best meal. My trip to Newburyport, Massachusetts began with a visit to the historic Custom House Maritime Museum, where Lloyd Sanborn taught me all about the town's maritime history. I had some amazing food at Sea Level Oyster Bar before heading to Pomodori for one of the best roast beef three-ways around. I ended my day not just in Newburyport, but high above it at Rear Range Lighthouse, where Jay Highland shared stories about New England's nautical past. And when the weather warmed up, I worked my way down the coast to Woodman's of Essex. Steve Woodman and I had some laughs over amazing seafood before I was invited into the kitchen to make a batch of fried clams myself. I hope you enjoyed this tale of two rivers. I'm Greg Bogosian. I'll see you next time on New England Traveler.